from California.
Checking in from the left coast where we take sound that combines sunshine with rhyme, move 'em around. Take it slow, watch the smoke we blow. Bring California swing in this thing for show. But hey,
all right, yeah. So, hey, man, we're going to try to get back at this, T. You know what I mean? We've been away for a while. We just want to say, hey, thanks to everybody for tuning back in. You know, we got some family matters going on. You know, things, again, like we always say, family's more important than anything, guys. And you know what? We had to take care of what we had to take care of. Then this COVID thing hit, man. So, I mean, we're going to try to do a little remote show and get some guys some a little bit of stuff to listen to because there's a lot of people quarantined right now. T, what about you, man? How you doing?
I'm doing great. Family's doing great. We're exercising, social distancing. So you guys, we're being just as responsible as you guys. So, you know, we just got to make sure that everybody's safe, right? I'm glad that you're safe, King. I know you and I talk all the time. And, you know, things are kind of crazy right now. Like you said, we took a step back because we had some personal family issues going on. And thankfully, those are starting to get better. So, you know, I think it's important that we get back because, you know, during their absence, man, we lost a lot of stuff. I mean, we missed out on the whole Kobe thing. We missed out on a lot of things. So, it kind of feels good to be back. What do you think, King?
No, absolutely does. You know, it's a crazy world we're living in right now, my man, you know, and it's just a little bit different and people, you know, not really sure what's going to happen and, you know, how our life's going to be going forward, you know, and I think that it's sort of eclipsing everything that's happened in the last 6 months and everything that's going to happen in the next 6 months. You know, it's that global right now and it's something that I don't think the world has ever seen.
Well, I mean, it's been seen 100 years ago. I think that's what the Spanish flu, right? And so we don't know.
The world never saw it because locally they didn't know how far it spread.
Yeah.
So nothing has ever been publicized and media driven to show the enormity of something like this one has.
Exactly.
It's unprecedented, you know?
Exactly.
So, and not just that too. Sure, they could say whatever they want about the Spanish flu, but how reliable was that documentation and data?
Oh, for sure.
Back then.
For sure. And to your point, this is a world of, you know, we live in technology, you know, with our technology and everything, all this information is at our fingertips and they didn't have that back then. So how reliable is it? I think you got a great point with that.
Yeah. And I think something like this is just, you know, it's something that makes everybody do a little bit of a self-check. You know, hey, you know, what's really important in our lives and what's really important in our world? How important is fucking toilet paper, T?
Oh, it's gold right now.
I mean, I just went to the store a little bit ago because I had to pick up some needed a leave. You know, I got a toothache going on because my dentist ain't seeing nobody right now. So I went to go pick up some leave all masked up and gloved up, and I'm fucking walking through there to see if anything catches my eye. And they had toilet paper and paper towels. And, you know, I don't really use a lot of paper towels, T, and honestly, even when the toilet paper shortage hit, I only had like 2 rolls with whatever roll I had left on my deal, you know? So I was like, man, you know, hey, what's that all about? But that lasted me over 3 weeks.
Damn.
Yeah, I don't shit like 10 times a day.
Well, that's because you eat way too much beef.
Yeah, no, that's a problem. I'm not eating a lot of beef right now, dude. I'm good.
You cut back?
Yeah. I work for a fucking company that processes beef.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Anyway,
okay. Well, now
chicken too, bro. I eat pork. I eat chicken.
No, that's true. I know. But I got a question for you. Okay, because I know, you know, a lot of people, you know, some of our listeners may be out of a job right now, you know, because of, unfortunately, people are getting laid off or furloughed or whatever the case may be. You know, you are considered an essential business with what you do. And you're an essential employee. Even to the business before this, you were very essential to the company. So what is it like? Because I know myself, I'm, you know, my company is an essential business. So we're open. But with what I do, I'm working from home right now. You know, I can be remote, but you can't because of what you do. What is that like right now? Has things changed? What is the vibe around the building? Just in general, you know what I mean? Like, is it different?
You know, I think one of the things is, and a lot of the companies took a little bit longer reacting and getting prepared for what was going to happen if they were going to try to stay open. And fortunately, I think we got in there just under the nick of time and got some supplies and things that we needed. You know, obviously we manufacture food and we need the food supply right now. So the difficulty is that we're open to the public, and the public coming in and out of there just creates a tremendous amount of exposure for the employees. And we had to do certain things. We got certain employees and retasked them, you know, to just do cleaning all day long. They basically have a 20-minute cycle that they clean and wipe down surfaces and anything that people could touch, doorknobs, handles, rails, things like that, with a disinfectant. And then when they get done, they basically go back to point A and start over again. And they're continually doing that the whole time that anybody's going in and out of that facility. Wow. So, I mean, they're doing certain things, but the reality is all these employees are going home every day. They're going out and getting exposed, and then they're coming into an office type of environment as well.
Yeah, and you just don't know.
Even if we're staying 6 feet away, that's fine. But this thing doesn't just stay within 6 feet deep. You know, it's when you cough and you sneeze, depends on the force, really. They use that number as an average.
Right.
You know, and something that's trying to be safe. But how long does it really stay in the air? 2 or 3 hours, just like a regular sneeze? Probably.
Yeah.
But they're not mentioning that.
No, you know, I think it's funny too, because so you mentioned that you went to the store recently. Have you noticed that the stores, they have markings for 6 feet, but they're doing it more in a linear direction. They're not doing 6 feet radius. So they have people standing next to each other, but as long as you stay in this straight line, even though the line kind of goes like a snake, you could be standing right next to a person, but you're 6 feet away from the person in front of you. But right next to you, they're not marking that off. They're not taking that into consideration. I find it stupid.
Pretty much. Well, I haven't seen that. I'm just going to say that in my personal experience.
Right.
Like my market, the Ralphs I go to, shout out to Ralphs. They're pretty stocked up right now and they're looking pretty good.
Nice. I might have to get you to get me stuff.
They're only letting so many people in at a time. So there's a line that goes outside the building, and along the building, they have it marked off. Now, when you go inside, they only have every other register open.
That's smart.
And they have spots on the floor for, you know, stand here and wait for the person to move. You know what I mean?
Question.
And it's got to be a good 8 feet.
Okay,
it's more than 6 feet.
That's good though. But I got a question, because I heard some stores are doing this, and that's awesome. Are they also kind of narrowing, or how should I say this? They're turning the aisles into one ways so that they can keep that social distance, because part of the problem too is when people are crossing each other in the aisle when they're shopping.
And that's smart. And that's sort of some of the things I came up on, like, you know, even like at the CVS that I went to, shout out to CVS, right? I looked down the aisle, and if someone was in that aisle and I didn't really need to go in that aisle for anything, and I was trying to cut through it, I didn't go down it. And I saw other people doing that too.
Now that's really smart.
So, yeah, I mean, people are, I think, making the attempt to, you know, do things to protect themselves. And I think it's like we talked when this thing started hitting to, you know, California, Los Angeles, you know, the suburbs of Los Angeles County is so tremendous in population that even if they got 50% of the people to do it, it'd be tremendous. I think the number's higher.
It's higher. It's higher. And you know what? I gotta give a big shout out to our governor, Gavin, and even LA Mayor Garcetti, because these guys have been on top of it. They were ahead of everything. They were ahead of the nation on everything. And our numbers aren't as bad in California. Unfortunately, you know, New York and other states are starting to get crazy. And, you know, we've been pretty fortunate.
No, I agree, man. I think California stepped up right away. I think they didn't have a choice, though, once they fucking hit all those positive tests in San Francisco.
Yeah.
San Francisco sort of led the way for us because they sheltered in place immediately because they looked at their per population positives when they just started and they were like, fuck, there's some problems up here. So California was just like, fuck, we got to do something. That's Frisco. Imagine LA.
Right.
So I think they did a great job. And even in the Inland Empire out by where you live, you know what I mean? They still did a pretty good job taking care of things.
It's a little bit crazier over here only because, you know, they started mandating things a lot sooner. in the, over here in Riverside County where I'm at. And it's a little crazy, but you know what? It needs to be done. Unfortunately, there's other states that aren't doing it, and they're turning into big old hotbeds.
Well, they're not hotbeds because the hotbeds are still where the major population is, just because you're going to get that number of cases. But percentage-wise, their percentages are up a little bit higher. So, I mean, it's a different thing. It's like we talked this weekend, and I don't know if it's changed since this weekend. Things are changing by the day around, the whole country. But there were 8 states that still had no restrictions at all.
And I think it's still the same. Yeah. So I think you're right. So right now, I'm just looking at some stats in the CDC. New York, man, still leading in the number of cases, followed by New Jersey and Michigan, and then California. But when you look at it, like new deaths, New York had new deaths 779 today so far. New Jersey 272, Michigan 114, and California 51. That's, for California, for as big of a state as we are, that's impressive though, So you and I know somebody
Well, remember, let's use the right term, T, and I think is what you meant is not how big the state is, but how much population it has.
That too, yes, you're right. You're right.
That's the main thing, because it could be Alaska, you're hearing shit about Alaska.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, right, because of population, and your next neighbor's fucking 3 miles away, you fucking live social distancing, you know what I mean?
Exactly. Now, you and I both know a nurse that we got to know that works at a hospital. Big shout out to Alan, him and his wife. They're awesome over there in the ICU unit. So far, when I talked to him, he said they had about 5 cases, and that's about it right now. They're waiting for a wave to hit them, but it hasn't come yet. So they're prepared, he said. And he said that the hospital that he works for is stepping up, and they've told them that, don't worry, we got you. We have plenty of PPE. They have, they're going to be paying for hotels if they want to stay somewhere so that they don't go back and give their family or expose their family to anything. So the hospital is pretty awesome and treating them really well.
Well, what are they going to do, T?
Well, some can't, or some haven't done that, sadly.
Well, no, sadly, yeah, some of them are just underfunded and can't do it.
Correct.
I mean? Obviously, the hospital where our family member was in is a pretty big hospital in that area with a lot of money. They just built that whole new wing, you know what I mean? So they got money.
Well, they just built a whole new cancer center too over there. So yeah, you're right.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So they either got donations, benefactors, or funding, or all of the above.
Right.
And that's where that money comes in right now, because even though the state and the feds are subsidizing all the healthcare systems and giving them more money right now. So even though the states, the feds, the benefactors are giving them money, and they have that, they still have these relief programs out there, right? Where they're going to be getting funding and stuff from the state and the feds, but they got to act quick because it dries up. There's only so much of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think one of the things I want to talk about to you, and I've mentioned this to you for a week, and I know we've joked about it, but I'm not really joking about it. And I want to give a shout out to all the people working and the essential people, dude. Because I told you, to me, my definition of essential, or the term essential, shouldn't be essential. It's sacrificial, dude, because we're going out there in this shit. Everybody's staying in the safety of their home, and we're going out there to make sure the general public's getting their services.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's difficult, man. It's difficult for me thinking that way to try to concentrate to do my job. And I know a lot of folks have to keep doing it, because you're right. I mean, as somebody who was making, just making the ends meet, and now all of a sudden they ain't working, what do you do? How do you eat? How do you do things like that? And unfortunately, I don't have to worry about that part. But on the other hand, I'm sort of thinking, man, I'd like it if my company told me, hey, dude, just stay at home for another couple of weeks, see if this thing plateaus a little bit. My company has stepped up, and the owner's great. And I think if anybody has any hesitation about being safe at work, he'll take care of them.
Right.
And there was a couple older cats there that we've talked about on the show before. And it just didn't seem like they were taking this thing serious enough, or they just didn't have the mental capacity to understand really the the impact of what could happen, and they just weren't caring, you know. And basically the owner told them, you stay home until this is all over, because they're already over an age where it's like, fuck, they're in that category where they're high risk anyway, you know. So,
you know, it's funny because, you know, my company did the exact same thing. You know, we have some older people. We are considered an essential type of business. So, and you know, part of our business is we have a like a biothermal line, right? Like biomedical. So that aspect of the business is going crazy right now. And, you know, we have older people that work for us on our production lines, and they had to go home because they were in that high risk factor, and we didn't want them to be exposed to anything. So we had to keep them safe, you know. And,
and unfortunately, a lot of those folks are living paycheck to paycheck.
That's the tough part.
Unless companies step up and help them out, it's hard.
Well, I wish I knew whether or not our company did that, but you know, knowing the company that I work for, they probably did. You know, it's probably safe to say that they did, only because they're solid like that. You know what I mean? They step up when it comes to things like that to help people out. And I know that because they did that to me, you know, when we had the family member that was sick. You know, they were very accommodating. So I know that they've stepped up. Do I know it for a fact? No, but I'm pretty sure they did. The thing that is funny too, because you know how you were saying how they clean constantly. Before we were mandated to lock down or stay at home or whatever you want to call it, before we were mandated to do that, we had the same thing, like you were saying, a cycle going. Everything that was touched constantly, they were cleaning everything. We had about 3 or 4 people doing that on rotation all day long. That's all they did. And, you know, they were really trying to do everything that they can to make sure that everybody was safe. It's hard because when you hear stories of companies not stepping up, not caring if their employees are safe, it's sad to hear, especially those that are the essential employees, like you said. So, you know, big shout out to the people that are in, like with what you do, right? So you're in food industry, but you're behind the scenes kind of food. You're in food distribution. What about
I'm not in distribution.
Well,
I'm in manufacturing.
Manufacturing.
So,
sorry.
yeah, I have to make it. Yeah. So that's the thing, right? Is that these, you know, there's a lot of people, even the distribution people, thinking how key they are.
Right.
Because right now, if they can't get that supply to the stores, people ain't getting nothing to eat.
Right. Exactly.
The supply's there. It's in the warehouses. It just has to get distributed now.
And it's just sitting there.
I'm the guy who puts it in the warehouse.
Right. Sorry, I misspoke,
You know,
but yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
But, you know, think about that. And then you think about the people on the front line in the grocery stores, right? You know, what about the nurses, the doctors, all the orderlies, all the people that are just support staff within a hospital, anything like that? It's really crazy. What about the people that are, case in point, right now, you got so many people that are using Instacart. What about those Instacart drivers that are doing the food delivery? They're out there, you know, risking it every day, day in and day out, just to be able to make a living.
To make their money. I'm going to be honest. I've ordered some Uber Eats. I'm getting a little bit worried about it just because of, you know, but even though they say that it's not transmittable with food, but if someone's touching something, you know, you still got to be careful, especially immediately, you know, on the handoff and those type of things. But I've ordered it a couple times in the last couple weeks, and every time I have tea, I'm giving the driver a little bag of latex gloves.
Oh, nice. Nice.
You know what I mean? Yeah, just to help them out, dude, because some of these guys they're recycling the same pair.
Right, and which is dangerous in itself, you know?
Yeah, they just don't have the means to go buy a box, dude.
Exactly.
They're feeding their family. They're trying to take care of their bills, do anything to make some money.
Oh, even if they
scratch going.
Even if they can find a box. I mean, how hard is it just to try to find it anywhere?
Yeah, you know, hey, the other thing, dude, is I'm going to throw a shout out, man, because you know what? I never fucking cared so much about my fucking barber before in my life. Right? We were talking about
that
weekend, right?
Yeah.
Dude, you just don't realize this shit till it's gone.
Right.
When was the last time I wasn't able to get a haircut? Not even on 9/11. I mean, 9/11 barbershops were still open.
Oh, yeah. Oh, for sure.
You know what I mean? Yeah, even during the riots, you know, the riots we had down here in whatever,
the LA riots.
Or whatever it was. Yeah. Hey, that shit, they were still open. You just had to go a little bit further out. You know what I mean? So never had nothing like this, man. And how do you fucking deal with it, dude?
Yeah, it's
Dude,
tough.
I know guys that are going crazy right now, and guys just reverting back to when they were fucking in high school, just do a one all the way around, man.
Okay, so that's kind of what I did, right? I mean, I ordered myself some clippers because I didn't have any. Because like you, I went to a place and got my hair done all the time, right? No, I can't because I can't go anywhere. So I got some clippers online. They delivered, and I gave myself a COVID cut. You got to do what you got to do right now.
Yeah, again, you use a term, you can't go anywhere. Obviously, they don't want you going anywhere.
Well, you can't,
like
but you can't go anywhere for a cut right now because that's non-essential.
Right, exactly. Correct. So, like for me, there was a guy at work, Nick, my boy Nick, shout out to Nick. He cuts his hair on his own all the time.
With a Flowbee?
Pretty decent job. No, dude, I was looking for a Flowbee.
Do you remember those things, dude?
Stop it,
God.
Dick. I was looking for one.
You can't find them, dude. They're in a museum. Those things are ancient. They were from the early 90s, late 80s?
Yeah, because they started catching people's hair on fire. But I was going to take the chance, dude. But anyway, my boy Nick was like, hey, dude, just come over my pad. I'll set something up in the driveway, a chair, and I'll just fucking zip it. He won't go inside or nothing. I'll mask up and glove up, and you get the fuck out of there in 10 minutes. I was like, all right, cool. I started getting worried, man. Like, fuck, you know what? I really don't like Nick's hairstyle too much. He talked to me. He told me, like, his strategy, what he wanted to do, like, clippers all the way around. And I was like, dude, I don't want that on the top of my head. So, dude, I went technology, bro. You would have been proud of me.
What'd you do?
I went to Let It Go. You know that app, Let It Go?
Yeah, Let Go.
And I found a barber, that was doing house calls.
Really?
Yeah, man, shout out to Ivan the barber. He came that Saturday morning, hooked me up in about 10 minutes. I hooked up a chair outside. I had a mask on. I had gloves on. He came with the same, had his stuff. He plugged in, zipped me up, told me what I wanted. I told him he wanted it even shorter. Give me a fucking full metal jacket, bro. That's what I want. So he fucking did it. He's all, take a look at it, man. He fucking took a couple pictures, showed me on his phone. You're good to go. Boom, he's out of there. 10 minutes, 15 minutes tops, dude.
Wow.
I'm feeling fresh. I'm feeling clean. I'm lined up. I don't have to worry about the back. I don't have to worry about nothing. So I'm good for at least another 3 weeks. So shout out to Ivan, man. That dude hooked me up.
Big Ivan right there for you, huh?
Yeah. So, I mean, to me, hey, that's worth a shot. You know, and that was on Saturday. So Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, today, 5 days, I would have already had some symptoms. If you had something, 4 days is usually about the incubation, right?
Right. They're saying even 2 to 3 days, even in some cases.
Yeah, plus I have this allergy thing going on right now in my nose tea, and my fucking eyes are swelling up like a monster. So I had to go to the doctor today. And that's what I'm telling my doctor, hey, dude, do you think I got like the COVID or something? He's all, no. Do you want to test me? No. Could I get a test? No. Those are for people that need it. I was like, okay, man, but I'm older. I'm in these categories, dude. You know my story, bro. And he's like, you don't need it. And then he goes, okay, let me listen to your lungs. He goes, if I hear anything in your lungs, I'll consider it. Okay?
Right.
I'm thinking I'm a smoker, dude. I smoke things. You know what I mean? He's going to, no, nothing.
Nothing. You're good.
Yeah, and I was even trying to make it like breeze raspy. Like
you're trying to do it on purpose just so you can get tested?
Dude, yes. Because I just want to know. Like, and I know I don't, but, just that peace of mind.
Well, what is it, Garcetti?
Here's the thing, though, right? Here's the thing, too, right? Is even if you get tested today and you're negative today, you can catch it tomorrow.
Yeah.
So, unless you're isolated in your home, and you don't have any contact with anything that can infect you, you have no chance to get it. But me, I go to work every day. I'm touching things that people are touching all day long, so yeah. What's the diff?
No, I was going to say Garcetti just announced that anybody who has symptoms can get tested now, only because they have the tests now available, so
yeah, exactly.
I mean, you and I know a guy, big shout out to D-Day that, his company wanted him to self-quarantine because he had a cough, told him don't come back to work for a while. And now he's trying to figure out where he can get tested.
Well, remember too, and this is what we tell everybody, and this is what sucks right now. If somebody's working and you have a job and you want to work as many hours as you can, you wake up in the morning with a cough, You go to work, they're going to send you home.
Yeah.
And then you got to go to the doctor and make sure you're not fucked up. The doctor can determine right away, hey, do you got the COVID or not?
A lot of them are doing them online now too. Have you seen those? The virtual, like the Zoom, And
that's what I told my doctor today. I saw the doctor today, D. So I went to the doctor this morning and I was talking to him. And I told him, hey, dude, you didn't even offer me like a Zoom or nothing. Right. I don't know what the fuck Zoom is yet, doc, but I keep hearing that. He goes, no, I got to see you first.
You know what? He's a little old school, though.
Huh?
He's a little old school then, because a lot of the new doctors, the Zoom is a video chat, and they could tell they're doing a lot of diagnosis for this COVID through Zoom.
Okay, right. But they're already answering preliminary questions, too.
Right.
Okay, no, yeah. They asked me a whole shitload of preliminary questions before I went to this guy.
Yeah.
What was happening to me, that's what he told me. He goes, and he goes, now that I know what's going on, you showed me all, because I took pictures of the problems I was having. I hate fucking explaining to the doctor, but I finally did something right. He says, hey, yeah, he goes, if they're still bugging you, maybe we could do a video call, or something like that. I'm okay, cool. He goes, because at least I know what's going on with you now. I took your vitals, you're good. You know what I mean? So, yeah. So, yeah.
Fuck, that's cool. I mean, but I don't know. It's kind of crazy though that how people can now get diagnosed through video chat. Even though yes, you're right, they did do the prelim and all the all the questions and everything, but it's kind of
you can't kind of cool. You can't because the diagnosis is right. What is the definition of diagnosis? Is that there's a definite factor or whatever of their condition. Right. So it determines what it is, the diagnosis. It's still presumptive until they get a test. Everything's always presumptive because this is what I'm telling everybody too. Remember, it's the cold and flu season also, which looks very similar in a lot of people.
Very true.
Right?
Very true.
And that's what's difficult.
But they're still diagnosing people. They're still diagnosing people with it. I guess as a precaution. And also the fact that they don't have enough tests to go around. So they're just saying, you know what? You got it. Self-quarantine for 2 weeks.
I think probably the term is there's a very good chance you have it. You're showing all the symptoms. Self-quarantine for 2 weeks. If you start getting progressively worse, go to this emergency room, give them this number. Because even my doctor said that too. People who, because that's what he told me. A lot of people are going in there because they're feeling anything. But if you're showing signs like that, they'll already set it up for you when you go into the emergency room that you got it set up because they want to know who you are right away.
Well, I mean, because I think, what is it? They have to start reporting it, right? I mean, you have to try to figure out who you've been exposed to and things like that. I don't know exactly how that works too, because I know companies, isn't there some type of, let's say somebody within a company, I'm not saying yours or mine or whatever, but within a company gets diagnosed. Isn't there, obviously there's the HIPAA that's a factor. So you can't give out people's personal information, but you could say that an employee, you have to notify everybody that you've been exposed to an employee that has tested positive.
Yes. So you have to notify the other employees. That's the law.
Right.
But technically you don't have to notify anybody in the public.
Correct.
Because of HIPAA.
Correct. Because of HIPAA. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But it's still,
it's a little bit, day and age, man. Good,
social media, though. Yeah. I mean, shit hits the social media fan, so the public knows right away.
Well, and absolutely. And you look at these things like I just read an article too, where a guy at a local Starbucks tested positive. How many people went to that Starbucks?
Right.
You know what I mean? Thinking, fuck, did I touch that fucking dude? They're probably fucking a little bit anxious right now, thinking, fucking, am I feeling sick?
Did he make my drink?
I feel something in my throat right now.
Yeah. Oh, see, and there's that too. You know what I mean? And I'll be lying if I said I didn't start thinking, hey, wait a minute, my throat feels a little rough right now. You know what I mean? It's just natural. That's part of just
right when all this
nature.
Thing happened, I got sick.
Right. I remember that.
And I was like, fuck it, man. If it's my time, it's my time. You know what I mean? Fuck, it was through me in 2 days and it wasn't really that bad.
And it could have been that because some people recover quick too. You never know.
Well, that's the only way you won't get it is if you've already had it.
Well, okay. So they've already had a couple cases where they had people get it again for a second time.
Well, but those cases, and I read that, they can't confirm if the first case or something was actually tested positive because of something with a test.
Right.
So they believe it was, but they still think there's a chance it could have been a really strong influenza strain that weakened their immune system that got them sicker from the next one.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
What's crazy though is like, they're using people who have recovered from this. They're using their blood. They're, obviously they're having, it's not the blood, it's plasma. They're having the plasma, and then they're injecting those.
That's what has the antibodies.
Yes, exactly.
So your body's already contracted an antibody if it fought it off.
Which is kind of awesome.
How they try to map the genetics of any kind of vaccine.
Right.
You have to think about it. That's really how they do it. And that's how they do chicken pox back in the day and all these things. They're putting a little tiny bit of that strain in you so that your body naturally will build up an immunity to that.
Yeah, similar to the flu shot nowadays.
Correct. But I mean, back then it was a little more tricky because they sort of had to break down the chicken pox and not let you get all the symptoms and the problems with it, but allow your body to fight off that strain. Yeah,
exactly.
And that's sort of how they map these things out and do that. And that's what they try to look for. But the reality is they could take my plasma, your plasma, 20 different plasmas. They're going to have a different reaction to everybody because everybody's antibodies are built different.
Yeah.
And their bodies react differently.
Right. Exactly.
There's there's things in the genetic code that are similar, but there's little intricacies in everybody's that make things happen.
Correct.
And you know what I mean? That's why maybe I wouldn't get it as bad or you didn't get it as bad as I got it, something like that.
Yeah.
Your genetics are just a little bit tweaked different.
Yep.
Right. And that's how it goes.
All right. So I'm gonna pivot here a little bit, but it's still within the same concept of what we're talking about because this is all obviously a COVID show, but everybody's kind of hunkered down right now. Everybody's on self-quarantine or a stay-at-home type of thing. So obviously people are hanging out at home. I've heard, back in the day, they used to say Netflix and chill. Right now it's quarantine and chill. A lot of people are saying, but let me ask you something. Have you been watching, because you're a big movie guy, have you been watching stuff? And if so, what are you watching? What is on your playlist that you have seen already, would recommend? And also, what do you have in queue that you haven't seen that you've been wanting to see?
Okay, first thing I want to say to you is I want to give my condolences to all the local bookies because those guys are struggling right now. These sports addicts like myself who watch sports every day, they're struggling right now and they're struggling with life. And that's a reality. And I'm the first one to admit that I am. It's hard for me. So I have to fill that time and I have to get my mind off it because it's a little depressing for me, right?
Yeah.
In my whole lifetime, you have to think any big event, and I keep reverting back to 9/11, but 9/11 was probably the biggest event that shook our country and shut it down for a while, shut normal activities down, including sports, major sports.
Yeah, everything came to a standstill.
For the week or 2 weeks when it shut down, it was like tough. And I remember when those NFL games came back, and it sort of brought the whole country back alive a little bit.
It did.
And you start realizing that in all these situations, all these things, that sports has such a big impact on bringing us back into a comfort zone and a sort of easiness, again, that our lives are going to be okay. And that isn't there right now. And I think that's difficult for a lot of people to comprehend, a lot of people to cope with. And I want to be the first one to say I had some difficulty in the beginning. So my hearts are out with you guys. You know what I mean? We'll get through it. The thing's going to be back on. Football season hopefully won't be slowed down. The only good thing to you is it's happened during baseball season. But now back to what you're saying.
Okay, wait, before we jump back, before we jump back already. So let me ask you this then. Okay. Do you think we should go back to playing sports right now? Because here's the thing, right? All these sports shows, First Take, Get Up, all of these sports shows on ESPN or Fox or wherever you watch them, all of them are struggling to find content right now. Okay. So they're talking about the draft. They're talking about miracle stuff. They're talking about whatever they can kind of manufacture. One of the things that a guy like Stephen A keeps talking about is all these sports that could resume without having fans. And I think it's horrible. It sends a horrible message right now. I understand, because you're absolutely right that it kind of sucks not having sports, and it is an outlet and it is an escape for people. But considering the severity of what we're going through right now, I think it's really, really poor taste to be talking about it. About saying, oh, we could start up baseball without any fans right now and still play the game. Wait a minute. You got players. The players, they can't practice social distancing. There's no way they can social distance. If you got a guy on base, if you got a guy in the batter's box, the ump, everything, you can't do that. So what? I guess his solution to that was, oh, everybody gets tested before the games. Now you're taking tests away that are vital for the public and giving them to sports, and you're saying that, athletes are better than you because they're privileged and therefore they're more important, and we gotta waste our tests on them. So what do you feel about that?
Well, I think the first thing I'm going to say before I lose focus on the last thing you talked about, I don't think they're in a position right now to really use the term that they're wasting tests, because now the chemicals and the things that they need for the testing is getting into an abundant supply. So I don't think it's going to be a waste. I think there's plenty for everybody. I think that was the most frugal thing they did. Wait until those things are available. Now think of this. When all this thing first happened and there was no one in the United States getting tested, and they shut down the NBA players on those teams and everyone in those organizations all got tested.
Correct.
How come they're getting tested when the people can't even get them in ICUs?
And that caused a big problem.
They have.
That caused a big stir.
That's the problem. I don't think that the Major League Baseball going forward at this point, because there's so much available, is that much of an impact. If that would have happened when we didn't have any, yeah. So to me, that's sort of a non-factor, the testing or how they want to do it. I agree with you, though. How are they going to quarantine all these teams and all these guys and all these people? I mean, what do you do? And then, so what if someone tests positive before the game? Weren't they in contact with somebody else?
Exactly.
Yeah, so it's like it's a domino effect, and it's going to happen. And at some point, even when they lift the restrictions, guys are going to pop up with it. It's just the way it is.
Well, how are they going to travel too? I mean, just the travel factor alone. Yes, they're around each other.
Saying travel. They're not saying travel. They're going to do all of this in 2 or 3 different spring training complexes in Arizona. So the travel's by bus, limited. All the teams will be working out of those fucking 10 fields or something. 10 or 12 fields.
Yeah, it still sounds like a disaster. Now, I think the only sport that I've heard that makes the most sense right now of, let's say you wanted something going forward, would be golf. Not the most exciting, I get it. But because it's a one-on-one and you can practice that social distancing and you can set up cameras and everything could be remote. You don't have to have a lot of people around. And the other one is tennis, just because the nature of the sport and the way that the sport is.
The way I think about it with anything, we have the right to choose what we're going to do. We understand the risks to our health. If these guys choose to take those risks and to do this to make that money, we shouldn't deprive them. There's no difference to me of a guy taking a risk to catch COVID-19, which he only has a 0.0001% chance of getting hospitalized from, not to make millions of dollars, than a guy on a crab boat. There's no difference. Right? Because they're both taking a chance to make money.
Yeah, but I think there is a difference. I think there is a big difference.
The sensitivity. Well, let me finish. It's the sensitivity of the public right now and the public perception. That's what it is. Think about this story too, T, and put this into perspective a little bit. The NFL draft is coming up. So they're saying, why are they even holding the draft? They shouldn't even hold the draft, a lot of people are saying. How can these guys go up there in this time when people are losing their lives and doing these things every day? These death tolls are going up and this thing is killing people. and we're going to watch some guy be happy because he just signed for $20 million. Well, life goes on. And the reality is, when will be a good time? When no more people die? So we're just going to be hunkered down for months and months in depression and doing things. There has to be some normality. There has to be something that's going to go back to what we were doing. Our existence is completely changed right now at a global sense. And the reality is we need to shift back to normality. It's going to take, I think, even after they lift all these restrictions, I think about a year. And then people will start getting comfortable going out and doing things, see the crowds again. You'll see all that come back. But it's going to take a while.
No, it will. It will. I just don't know.
But the reality is that if a grown man, he knows the risks and understands it, wants to do that, and is allowed that opportunity, why should we deprive him? Because we feel he shouldn't do that because of the perception that he's putting himself or other people at risk. Everyone around him knows the risk, and they signed off on it too. The other sport I'm going to talk about, which I think, and I'm going to commend the guy because he's not going to let this thing beat him, is the UFC. Very minimal people there, less than 100 people ringside, all 6 feet away, 3 people close together with the official, the 2 fighters who were tested. They start testing them, I think, like a week before. Then he has them like 2 days before, then the day of the fight.
Now, did you hear the news?
I'm
sorry. Go ahead.
So the problem with Dana White saying, hey, they already had one of these events in Brazil when this thing started with no people in the auditorium, and it went well. It went very well because there were no sports on, and it got one of the biggest ratings on the weekend. So it did go well, even though there was no people in the stands. The problem is he's trying to find a venue. Every time he booked a venue, that state or that county or whatever else outlawed combat sports. So I believe what he did, he's already secured a location. I heard that he bought an island.
Okay.
I don't know where it is. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's off Florida. I don't know if it's a key. I don't know what it is and how he's got an arena set up there so fast. But he's got something.
Okay. So what I heard today about that, and that's what I wanted to say, is the island thing hasn't gone through yet. He is looking at that. But what he has done in the meantime is he has secured a location on a reservation because that is separate from state and federal government rules and regulations. So he said
also he's not going to even expose the location because he doesn't want people to fuck with it.
Correct. I don't know what reservation it's on, but it is on a reservation. So supposedly the next one will be on a reservation. Yeah.
Well, it's not this weekend, but it's next weekend.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the main event had the guy Khabib from Russia, who was in Russia, but because of restrictions wasn't allowed to travel. So they had to change the card to somebody who was local in the U.S.
Right. I think it changed like 3 times. The one before that, the Brazil one, it changed like 2 or 3 times.
No, because they really didn't have all the restrictions set up yet. They were some restrictions set up early, like the Chinese restriction, obviously, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But Brazil was fine because what they do in Brazil too is every match has a Brazilian in it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then there's somebody else against a Brazilian.
Yeah, that's true.
But I remember even in that Brazilian match, there was an Asian dude. I don't know if he was Japanese. He had to be Japanese. I'm sure it's country away, a couple countries away. So.
I don't know. I mean, this is going to be interesting. The whole thing is going to be interesting. I think, like you said, I mean, this is all uncharted territory for us, but I think kind of, I agree and disagree with you somewhat only because I feel that, yes, it's their own decision and everything, and they know the risks. But at the same time, you have to trust the guy next to you that he's doing the right things as well. Right. And I think part of that was, is the guy next to you taking it serious just as much as you are? Because, when the NBA thing blew up, the first guy that tested, he wasn't taking it serious. Now he backtracked and he apologized a lot for it and things like that. Yes, we get it. And he's sorry about it, but he didn't take it serious. And that's what pissed a lot of people off because they caught him joking around and he was joking around in the locker room and some of the players got it too. So as long as everybody
he wasn't just joking, I'm not going to cut you off, but he wasn't just joking with the players. The week before, he was already showing symptoms, and he was on after the game. He was sniffling and coughing, and one of the fucking reporters said something to him. There's like 4 or 5 reporters around him. He started touching them all and touching their mics, and touching their phones and touching everything. Well, if I got it, now you guys got it,
right?
And he was the first one who tested positive.
Right. And that's my point.
He's the guy who shut down the NBA.
Pretty much. Yeah, he did. And that's
because that night was the last night of games because I haven't bet since. And I bet on one of the games that got suspended.
I remember that. I remember that. But see, that's my point though. Like you got to be sure that the guy next to you is just as serious and just as prepared and honest about what's going on. You know what I mean?
You can't be, T. You just can't be, and that's the reality of it. You can't be sure of that, and that's the risk they're taking. That's the bigger risk is understanding you are exposed because you don't know what these other guys are doing. Now, that's the risk you're taking.
Okay, you and I have both, not at the pro level, but we've both been in locker rooms, right? And you got to trust the guy next to you. You really do. You know what I mean? For the most part. How does that affect, or how do you feel that affects that trust when, let's say a guy does test positive and he does have it, and then you later find out that he wasn't taking it serious, that he was being stupid, he was going, and exposing himself unnecessarily. Like, does that hurt and damage that locker room?
The reality to me is this, T. I think people that are being careful get it. I think people that are being idiots get it. I think this thing doesn't care. I think that you could be as precautious as you want, and you can still get exposed to it. So the reality is it's going to get whoever it's going to get by the number. And if you're one of those numbers, you're going to get it. That's just the way this thing works. And that's really my take on it. Sure, you can reduce the amount of risk you have or heighten the amount of risk. But if you're going to get it, it's out there. I mean, and the percentage-wise of people getting it still, remember we talked about that. Everyone's focusing on cases. 51 people died in California. How many people die in California just on regular days? A few hundred? 1,000? We're a big state. You have to look at those numbers and put it all into perspective, right? And that's sort of what's getting everybody a little bit riled up too, is the way they present these numbers, T. And me, barking at the media. And I know, we have these discussions sometimes, but it's really fucked how in a time like this, you can see how the media is just driven for ratings because people are just glued to their TVs watching these things. And they want to hear it's nothing but negativity, man.
Well, I'm guilty of that too. You know what I mean? You're absolutely right about that. I'm guilty of that. I can't.
Okay, so
it's like a train wreck. I can't stop watching.
Right. Now think of this. If that's all you're absorbing all day long because you're quarantined at home, what's going to come out of you? All that negativity. It's programmed.
That's human nature. Yeah. There's no way around it.
You have to look at the optimist side, right? Look at the bigger picture, right? I'm still throwing the thing out. When this is all done, let's put this year's flu numbers, the regular influenza that kill people, to this one. I don't think it's going to be that far off. To me, I think that people just over-exaggerate everything because of how it's presented to them. Look at how the numbers present on the TVT. Today, 46 people hospitalized in ICUs across the state. That's a pretty big fucking state. 46 people. There's more than 46 hospitals. If you're thinking one person per hospital, was there a few hundred? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh shit, 46 people today. So like 22 people died today. Okay, again, there's fucking hundreds of hospitals. So 1 in every 10 died. 1 out of, that's sort of, I mean, I know it's not good and there's nothing good out of it. I'm just saying how it's presented.
No, I get it.
And it gets the regular person just so into that negative mode.
Right. Which kind of leads me to what my initial, before we got into the sports thing, But it leads me back to that, you know, that distraction away from that, you know, that entertainment aspect. And right now, without any kind of sports going on, everybody's going Netflix, Disney Plus, Hulu, whatever it is that they use to consume media, you know? So like, what are you using? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, no, I'm hitting the, you know, Spectrum. I'm hitting the video store or whatever, because, you know, they put like stuff out now, especially during this thing that was supposed to release in the movie theaters or just released when they locked down the movie theaters. They threw them on the video stores, like early releases.
Yeah, straight to your, you know, streaming.
Yeah, but you got to pay $20 to watch that thing. You get 48 hours to watch it. You know what I mean? But
for like $20 and you don't even own it.
Yeah, $19.99. You get 48 hours to watch it. I just said $19.99.
That's what I'm saying. But you don't own it. It's not like you can download it and keep it digitally.
No, well, it's just like, okay, you go to the show. How much does it cost? $14.
Yeah, it depends on which one you go to. Yeah,
14, $15.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So you don't own that. You have a memory, right? So you're getting the memory, dog. Total Recall. But yeah, I've been watching a lot of older flicks. But just watching, one thing that I am realizing is, you know, the HBO, the Showtime that I watch, those things, they're throwing a little bit more variety in there right now because I think they know everyone's at home watching this shit.
Well, they're getting the ratings. They're getting the ratings right now. They got eyeballs. Yeah. I think HBO, I don't know about Cinemax, but I thought I heard HBO on their Go app. They are offering some content for free. You know, so like if you don't have an account, which is like $15 a month, you get certain stuff for free.
Well, I know like Spectrum came out, and what they did is they did a thing where they basically said, okay, if you don't have Showtime, we're turning it on until this thing's over. Showtime and Epics or something, but I already get Showtime, so it fucking didn't do shit for me. You know.
See, I didn't even know that. I don't get it. I don't do the movie channels because for me it's a waste of money because I just don't watch it enough. Yeah,
so if you go to you have Spectrum, right?
No, I have DirecTV now.
Oh yeah, I know, you lucky fucker. You get the football package when it comes back on.
Right. But
yeah. So yeah, Spectrum, all Spectrum customers have Showtime right now, but I already paid for it, so it didn't do shit for me. But to me, man, the thing that's saving me is the Netflix, bro. There's so much shit on Netflix. There's like 8 million different shows on Netflix, dude.
And you've seen 7.5 million already?
No, dog, because the reality is, right, I mean, I'd watch one every now and then or binge a season in like one day, you know what I mean, just because I get into it. But, I mean, the reality is now I'm watching it more than ever, you know, so, and I'm finding stuff. Like, you know, someone mentioned to me about, I was just telling you earlier today about a subtitled movie. I watched a Turkish movie. Fucking sort of jolted my heart a little bit, dude, you know?
Which is weird for you because I think your point to me was you don't watch a lot of subtitled movies. You don't like to read while you're trying to enjoy a movie. I think
you really have to be like a movie goer. You have to be like a movie buff to really enjoy a subtitled movie. You know what I mean? To be able to sit there, watch the movie, read the shit, get into it, and they're talking a different language that you don't get.
Okay, but I think you qualify for that.
For 20 minutes, and then it says no. Well, he just didn't say no.
But you qualify for that because you're a big time movie buff. You know, I mean, for the most part, you probably consume more movies than anybody else I know.
Well, that's really my vocabulary of entertainment is sports and movies. I don't even like watching news. I don't like watching live events or reality shit or anything like that.
You don't watch regular television.
Yeah. No, I don't.
Sitcoms, you don't do any sitcoms.
No, I don't.
Right.
I put on HBO and I'll watch a movie I watched yesterday if it's on and it's good. You know, if it's Down or Shazam or what's my cycle right now. Casino Royale, Peppermint. I see those movies. I'm just clicking on. I'm good. That's another hour. I'm good. I don't got to think about it.
But that's what I mean.
Netflix for me, man. Yeah.
All right. So have you know, because the big thing on Netflix right now, that's the hot thing is the Tiger King. Have you seen it?
Yeah, I saw the Tiger King before it got hot, dog, like right when it first came out.
Okay.
You know, I guess I understand people that really hadn't experienced something a little weird like that. And I guess I really can't compare it to anything right now, but I mean, it's just like, I mean, it was all right to me. I mean, I understand the train wreck thing, and you just got to watch it, and it's a little bit out there, but it just really didn't do it for me. But hey, it hit big. A lot of people really fucking started talking about it.
Well, I kind of dug it, you know, and I don't know. Okay, big question. This is what everybody's asking, obviously, is do you think Carol did it? Do you think she offed her old man? They were the first one.
She had motive. She had ability. She did it.
Yeah.
Plus, the lady was just a weirdo, dude.
Dude, she is a weirdo.
She's a straight ass fucking weirdo.
Look, there was nobody in that whole series that came across as somebody that I would root for. You know, because even in some of these documentaries, you feel bad and you kind of root for somebody. There's nobody in that thing that showed up as, hey, they're not that bad of a person. But honestly, at the end of the whole thing, my disdain and dislike for her was the most, because she's doing everything that she's accusing everybody else of doing, and she's doing it too, and making money off of it, and she's trying to pretend that she's not. And that to me is the worst.
Yeah, but that's in 100 different things. But what else have you watched on Netflix, man? Change the channel on that thing. I don't even like talking about it.
Well,
what else have you watched on Netflix? Dude?
Not a whole hell of a lot, to be honest with you. We've been watching.
Well,
we haven't been watching a lot of Netflix. We haven't been watching a lot of Netflix. We've been doing a lot of YouTube because, you know, Cirque du Soleil started releasing some stuff on YouTube. And so we've been watching some of the Cirque du Soleil stuff that they've been releasing. That's kind of cool, you know, but we haven't had tons of time to sit and watch a lot of movies because so the wife is still working. She still leaves just like you. She's leaving for work and everything. So, you know, I'm at home, and during the week I'm working from home. So I don't have a lot of time. By the time she gets home, we consume the news. Like I said, we're guilty of, and then we go to sleep. But on the weekends, we've been doing a lot of family time together. So we haven't spent a lot of time watching a lot of shows, but I have a lot of stuff in queue that you kind of told me and turned me on to. So we haven't had a lot of time to sit there and watch a lot of TV like some people have, you know, whether it's Netflix or whatever have you, you know. But I want you to talk about some of the stuff you kind of gave us to watch, even though we haven't had a chance to really sit and watch it yet.
Well, I think, you know, it all depends what you like to watch. I mean, you know, I got to give out a shout to, you know, some of the people at my work. You know, I mean, there's a group of ladies that I converse with once in a while at lunch, and I'm not going to put them on the spot and throw their names out, but they can really watch some shows, man, and they really get some serious shows going. And they've turned me on to some great stuff where I probably wouldn't have even thought about watching it. You know, so I'm going to give a lot of credit to them. And a lot of the stuff is just the stuff that I'm hearing they watch, and I hear them talk about it. And then I go home like, fuck, let me see what they were talking about. And it ends up being pretty fucking good.
So like what?
So, well, okay. So like, there's some shows that are like seasons, right? And that's what I like about Netflix. Like they drop the whole season at one time. So if you want to watch fucking 8 episodes, 10 episodes, the whole season, back to back to back to back, you could do it as soon as it drops. They don't just put out like one episode a week. So I love that part. But the one that I just got done watching was a show that already has 2 or 3 seasons called You, and it's about a guy, Joe. And I'd say it's just like a little bit twisted kind of Dexter. You know what I mean? But it's pretty good, and you got to watch it. And, you know, Joe's box is something else, dude. That's all I got to say. But that show, You, is pretty good.
Well, what's the premise of You?
Like I said, it's like a little bit of a twist of a Dexter. It's about a guy who, you know, finds a girl, you know, and then he's sort of like, it's sort of sneaky how he just sort of like finds out everything about her life, what she does, who she's with, everything else, and sort of fucking tweaks it and sort of derails it and rails it, sort of goes to him. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
It puts him in front of her kind of thing, and they fall in love, and he gets what he wants kind of thing, you know?
Kind of manipulative.
Mayhem to get there. Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, it's really good. And, you know, after the first season, you're like, okay, where are they going to go now? And then the second season, when you're like, holy shit, the second season was better than the first season. So, yeah, I mean, it's a really good show, and there's a lot of content. You're talking 10, 12 episodes a season, 40 minutes an episode, 45 minutes an episode, something like that. So that's good. Ozark with Jason Bateman is really good.
I've heard about that.
Dropped another season.
I've heard about that.
The premise on that is a guy who was fucking mixed up with the cartel. He's a fucking money launderer, like an accountant. They gave him only a certain amount of time to make the cartel so much money back, or they're going to kill him. So they send him to this little small town, Ozark, and he's fucking like brought the cartel to Ozark. It's pretty cool. So there's that, and then there's all these other things like the documentaries and stuff, and these one-offs that I like. And there's a couple of them, dude. I want to mention, like there's one called "Don't Fuck with Cats."
Oh,
it's a good one, dude.
I have that in my queue.
That they busted on fucking on the internet because he posted he had a kitten and he fucking vacuum bagged it and killed it on the internet. And these people saw it and they were fucking pet lovers and they fucking went to the ends of the earth to track this guy down and find out who this guy was. And he tried to fucking hide all his steps and everything else. It's just crazy how they found out who he was. I think there's just so many things you can see on there. There's a lot of older movies on there that you can watch, obviously. There was another thing that I watched, like 4 or 5 episodes, Making a Murderer. There's that one. There's The Pharmacist. It's about a guy who in a small town, he basically realized his town was going to shit because of all the opioids being sold through his pharmacy. And he said he started seeing all these younger kids coming in who weren't even sick, getting all these opioids. And it was all coming from one doctor. And he fucking put the kibosh on the doctor. And it sort of shows how he brought her down and shit. It's pretty good.
Have you seen Pandemic?
Yes, dude. And I saw it when it first came out right before the COVID hit.
Right.
And when people watch that during this, it's the wrong time to watch that, dude. You
really?
Be smarter than that. Yeah.
Why? Because it's going to freak you out more? Is it? Yeah, because it makes you wait a minute, it gets you more paranoid, right?
Yes, dude. It's the wrong time to watch that shit. You know what I mean? That's what I tell everybody. But there's a good Wahlberg movie that just is dropped on Netflix, Spencer Confidential. It's decent. It's worth the hour and a half or whatever. And I saw a movie, a Spanish movie. I think it was Spanish. Was it subtitled? No, it was like dubbed. You could tell it wasn't their voices. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it was called The Platform. And the way it seemed, and even the trailer says it, you know, when you read the trailer before it plays, it said that in this prison system, you're put into your cell by levels. And depending what level you're on, depends how much food is left for you when the food starts on level 1. So if you're on level 300, by the time it comes down, there's no food. Because this thing goes, it's like a hole in the floor. And this thing comes from the top and just drops down. And it's like a table full of fucking all this beautiful food, dude. Like if chefs make it.
Right.
And it's like a prison in there. It's weird. And it's a trippy movie, man. But I saw that. The
kind
Platform. Hour and a half. These are foreign films, dog. I'm getting a little bit fucking educated.
You're getting cultured, huh?
Yeah. And the other one I just watched that was just a fucking tearjerker twice. It jerked me twice, dog. And I usually can't jerk twice right now because I'm older. But dude, it jerked me twice, dude. I was like, fuck, because I was all tore up, and then there was a twist, and you get more tore up, and you're like, oh my God. But it was called Miracle in Cell Number 7. And my friend Steph mentioned that the other day, and that's the shout out to probably the person who probably names 90% of the stuff I watch. I watch it because of her. But that thing was good. It's a Turkish movie, so that even had subtitles. But it's really good, man.
So it's not like CB4 with Chris Rock, right?
What was that?
You don't remember that one? That comedy CB4, Cell Block 4?
No, I remember the movie, but I don't even really remember if I even watched it.
Well, I mean, it's like the complete opposite of what you're saying, because that was like a comedy versus this one you're saying is a tearjerker. So like it really messed you up or what? Like, I mean, seriously, does it make you tear up, or does it just get you a little bit emotional, or like, what is it about it?
You know, look, to me, I say if you watch that now, man, it's a tearjerker. Just because everyone's a little sensitive right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, everybody's
maybe
a little hypersensitive.
6 months ago, maybe not.
Yeah, okay.
You watch it with your lady, and your lady's one of the criers, and she's a crier, for sure, dog.
And it starts it,
For
right?
sure.
Like just
Yeah.
It just
You know,
goes
and
downhill
sometimes,
from there.
Yeah, because well, maybe not downhill, but maybe you get the sympathy
Right.
out of it. You know what I mean? But yeah, you know what I mean? Like, oh, here, let me help you out, babe.
Oh, there's always that, of course.
Yeah, but yeah, dude, it was good, but there's just so many things. And like I said, a lot of them are just basically what I hear from Steph, but she watches the other one that she watches. And I got into it a little bit. Wasn't for me. Doesn't mean it's not any good, but it's called Money Heist. And that thing's pumping right now. It's like number 2 or 3 in the country on Netflix.
I haven't even heard of that one yet.
Dropped a new season. It's actually a pretty good story. Just got a little bit repetitious for me, and I sort of dropped a little bit of interest. You know what I mean? But a lot of people like it, man.
I'll have to check that one out.
I'm not a normal cat, dude. Yeah, I'm an old dude. I'm different, man. If it ain't happening right away, get the fuck out.
Yeah. Yeah, your attention span
really
isn't there.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the best way to put it. Come on, Homer.
Squirrel.
Dude, speaking of squirrels, dude, I've been fighting a squirrel in my backyard,
shit,
dude.
Another one?
Dude, well, the avocado tree, dude. My avocado tree's giving avocados, man.
Dude, how many?
Fight 'em, man.
If I had a nickel for every time you fought squirrels, gophers,
No. Let's be honest. I've never fought a gopher over here. At my other house, remember, I was the gopher.
No, I know. I'm talking just in general.
Fucked me up.
No, I'm talking in general, though.
Here,
gophers.
Where I live now, I got a raccoon.
Right.
I got an opossum. And I got 2 fucking squirrels.
Well, how many possums in your life have you had to fight, man? How many? I mean, seriously.
Too many of them.
Right.
Too many.
And a couple of them went sideways real quick.
Yeah, no. But anyways,
those are stories for another time.
Yeah, no. But hey, because they're supposed to fall over fucking dead, not fucking come and attack you, dog.
Exactly.
But anyways, yeah, what happened to that dude? Where'd that guy go to school? Fuck. Anyways.
All right. So, guys, I think this is it for this episode. It feels good to be back, King. I don't know about you. I know it's not going to be as frequently as we were before. We'll try to do it as much as we can. We do miss everybody. But
I think before all that, man, before you get into all that, man, I think the first thing we want to say to everybody is, guys, remember, this is a different time.
Yeah.
You got to have patience. You got to be diligent in what you're doing and understand there is an end to it. It's not going to be forever.
Right.
And the reality is that when we're talking to our grandkids and, let me tell you about 2020 when they had the COVID going on, we couldn't even get toilet paper. It's going to be a thing of the past. It's going to be something we talk about, like an earthquake or like something else. So it's going to pass, guys, and we have to know that. And we have to keep those positive feelings up. Because if we don't, we get sucked into that negativity, and it just takes longer to pull ourselves out.
I think you're right.
Positive, folks. Make sure that everybody stays positive and stay safe.
No, you're right.
Do the things that you're supposed to do. Wear masks when you go out now. Do certain things.
Wear gloves.
That's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, for sure.
So, don't sit there and say, oh, I don't believe in that, or I'm young, nothing's going to happen to me. Just do what you got to do, because it's not about you. It's not just about you. It's about everyone around you. What if there's an older person in your house? What if there's somebody who's in those underlying conditions in your house? Think of them. And that's what people have to think about. It's not just about me anymore. It's about the people around me and the people in my community.
Ah, you're absolutely right.
And we have to start focusing on that. And that's what's going to beat this. It's not sitting there watching the news and waiting for it to end. We have to be active of what we're doing. And when we go out, practice these things right now. The social distancing, like you mentioned, washing hands, using sanitizers, wiping down things all the time. I know there's a very small chance, but if you have somebody with underlying condition, take your shoes off when you come in your house. Take your clothes off, your outer clothes. Put them in the washing machine. It's not going to hurt nothing. Do things like that, little things like that are going to help, because you never know. And I think that's the thing I want to make sure everybody out there understands is if we do all those things collectively, it's just going to make this thing easier and end faster. Right. And I want to applaud everybody out there. I drive to work every morning. It's like a ghost town on the freeway, which I've never thought I'd see in my life.
especially in LA.
I'm on the 710 freeway, dude, going into fucking LA. And I got maybe 5 cars total around me.
Right.
And it's an eerie feeling, knowing that our society, our business, our economy is just come to such a grinding halt. And I want to, give a shout out. And if you guys can, try to support any small business out there, guys.
Yeah.
And again, thanks to all our listeners who've been reaching out. I've even seen guys who know the show of my work and everything else. And Palmas, you know what I mean? Hey, this show's for you, bro. You've been asking me, and you guys are there, and you guys want these things. You know what I mean? And we appreciate it, and we had things we had to take care of, and then this thing hit. We're going to try to get back at it for you, but you guys got to be safe. You guys got to participate in what's going on. That's
Absolutely.
the most important thing.
Absolutely.
Because that's what's going to end this thing. And take it serious, guys, because it is serious. It doesn't matter. Until it hits home, that's when people don't start taking it serious. And we talk about that, T. Don't wait for that to happen with this.
No, you got to be proactive. Absolutely. And, just to kind of piggyback on what you said, and you, I mean, King, you hit it right on the nail. You know what I mean? You hit it. But I will say this is, I want not only to everybody to be safe, but also you got to understand this is a tough time right now for everybody. So when you're at home and you're kind of stay at home type of thing, it's easy for people to kind of get down, get a little depressed because we're social creatures. So there are free places that you can reach out to if you need help. There's different organizations with psychiatrists and different things just to help a mental health type thing. Sometimes you just need somebody to talk to, and I think it's great. People are reaching out to each other on video chats. They got FaceTime, Duo, Zoom, all those types of those things, party at home, all those types are party with friends, whatever that one is called. But I think it's more important to understand that we have to stay safe, and we also have to think of our mental health too. So, try to stay as positive as you can. And if you need help, reach out to people. King, you and I always talk about, it feels like almost on every show when we talk about things, we talk about the mental aspect about people and making sure that mental health is taken care of no matter what. And I think this is a prime example of that we all need to stay safe, but we also have to keep that mental health safe too. So if we need help, reach out to those mental health professionals, reach out to people. There are resources out there that are free right now, and
let's be honest, there's a lot of people suffering right now because of a lack of income.
Right.
And guys, there's no reason to, have different thoughts or things like that because you can't pay your bills. Things will take care of themselves, like places you can call, people you can talk to.
Right. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. There are, and we got to make sure that we're taking care of mentally because like you said, King, there's a lot of things that will work itself out. And if you're right in the head, and you feel good about everything and you're focused, then it'll work itself out. It may take some time. I mean, this is not going to be immediate. It's not going to be right away, but at least that there, like you said, there was an end in sight, that this thing will get past it. Right. So we just got to stay positive, do our part and stay positive. It's hard, easier said than done. Absolutely. But we're all in this together completely. This isn't just like one or two people.
Let's put it into perspective, guys. It's not that hard, because like we talked about, in a month or so, it's all going to be over, put it behind us, or 2 months, whatever it is, because it's just a small piece of time. And all we're doing is really staying in place. So you have to put that in perspective into life, right? Life's a circle. Everything's going to come back around. Your bills aren't paid. Okay, it's going to work. You're not going to get thrown on the street at these times. People aren't doing that right now. Municipalities are not shutting off lights or shutting off water for lack of payment. You still owe the money, but they're not going to shut you off. Right. So there's a lot of stuff that's going on right now because they know the whole economy is suffering. So understand those things are out there, folks. And I think the better thing is to be informed. Don't just listen to people saying stuff to you. Go on these sites, go on these resources, CDC, the World Health Organization, the governor's site, you know, the Department of Health site, all these things, and get the real answers that are out there, guys.
That's the best resource you can get.
I think and the reality is it is.
Yeah.
And I think on the next episode or something, we could probably talk about it if those information is real.
Right. Because there's a lot of misinformation out there, King.
That's given by the government on purpose. Look what happened. As soon as this thing hit, no toilet paper, dude. No water. Everyone went into a panic. It's why they cannot tell people things in the United States.
Well, yeah, you're absolutely right.
They have to do it the right way.
Yeah, they have to. It's messaging. It's messaging.
Yeah, it's like we talked about, T. I mean, the sad thing is that the government doesn't care about the deaths and the people. They care about the medical system. It can't crash because then there'll be nothing for nobody.
And the economy.
And the reality is, right, it's almost like a thought of war. There's going to be casualties, but we got to make sure the infrastructure stays safe.
Yeah. And that,
that's really the responsibility of the government, but they can't come out and say that.
Well, they kind of are right now, and I think that's what's freaking everybody out. But I think that's for another show. I think you're absolutely right with that one.
Yeah. So, all right, man. Well, I'm going to get out of here. I'm over here on the other side of the world, you know, next to you. So, man, piece this thing together, man. Make it good for our listeners, and we'll get back at you guys soon.
Hey, for the Double I Show, I'm Sweet T.
I'm RW King.
And we are
out.
Checking in from the left coast where we take sound that combines sunshine with rhyme, move 'em around. Take it slow, watch the smoke we blow. Bring California swing in this thing for show. But hey there, baby.